Well, it's a little rainy day out here in Philadelphia, but great to have you joining us. And again, as always, regardless of the day of the week you're joining us or the day of the weekend you're joining us, or if you're joining us live, it is just wonderful to have you here. And today we're doing it, looking at an interesting one, the concept of shame. And this is one, again, I'm sure we'll touch on many times because it is such a big issue, something to think about and consider because it can be debilitating to our spiritual lives. Now, I want to start out by saying, a little bit of shame can be a good thing. I know I look back at some of the idiotic things I've done and just think, oh, I'm so ashamed. How could I have said that or done that? And I think God goes, yeah, it's probably a good idea. Feel a little bit of shame. And what are you going to do about it? And that's the key part. If shame is used as something that kind of gets us moving, great. But then we have to drop it and we have to lose, as Brene Brown famously said, that shame actually becomes who we are. When we use it as an identity and as a way to define ourselves, that's a serious problem. And that can really get us into a bad space pretty quickly. And so today what we're looking at is life beyond shame. And you'll see on the little graphic there, it's a little tip of the hat to the movie Up and the idea of the cone of shame. And if you haven't seen that movie and you don't know that reference, I highly recommend you do it this weekend. It's a great movie. And it was interesting, folks, today. One of the really fun, I have so many fun parts of doing this. One of them is just working at reading the Bible a little differently, because as a pastor, you tend to think in silos. I tend to think in silos. Like, here's this story and chunk, I'm going to look at it there. And here's this story and here's chunk, I'm going to look at it there. And that's not the way the Bible's written, though. The Bible's written with this beautiful kind of flow. It's poetic. It one story kind of bleeds into another. And we have to remember this was an oral tradition. So it wasn't like people were going home reading a chapter a night, or like we're doing, going home and reading a verse or looking at a verse every morning. They would have heard this as an oral tradition, which meant the stories would have had to have blended in a far different way than maybe Western ears would be used to. And today we're going to look at how that blending takes place and tying in with this idea of shame. So yesterday we looked at the passage where God says with Adam and Eve, story of creation, they shall be as one flesh. And the idea of one flesh there. So here's this concept of one flesh. And then there's another passage right after it where God mentions that, and they were naked in the garden and they were not embarrassed. So really interesting. And frankly, until getting ready for today, I'd kind of seen those as two separate stories. But then isn't it interesting to kind of look at them as one and the same? And it was very fun. A couple of days ago, somebody had posted a quote, and my appreciation for you posting it, from Dorothy Day. And it's interesting. And let's read this quote and kind of see how those two things can go together. The idea of one flesh over here, and this idea of not being embarrassed, not being ashamed. Again, that moving beyond shame in the very next passage. This is Dorothy Day. True love. True love is delicate and kind, full of gentle perception and understanding, full of beauty and grace, full of joy unutterable. There should be some flavor of this in all our love for others. We are all one. We are one flesh in the mystical body. Here's that reference again. As man and woman are said to be one flesh in marriage, which was the passage we read yesterday. With such a love, one would see all things new. We would begin to see people as they really are, as God sees them. That's Dorothy Day. See people as they really are. It's a beautiful, beautiful passage. And just look at that for a second, folks. So here's this idea of one flesh. And what I love about the way Dorothy Day treats it there, who's a Catholic saint, and Dorothy Day treats that as a perspective, as a view of love, as a way to say, hey, not only is it about a husband and wife being one flesh, it's about us all understanding that there's a unicity, there's a unity in humanity, there's a oneness there, so critically important. And that oneness, she says, if we can kind of transfer that oneness that God has ordained and see it the way God sees it, shame kind of disappears. In other words, we see people in their fullness. Now, you can go a little askew here with seeing that as nakedness, but I think we can see that metaphorically. We see people who they really are, as they really are, and there's no shame involved. Like, there's no embarrassment involved. There's no cutting people down involved. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful way to see it. And to try to folks even get like, okay, when we see humanity in its oneness and its wholeness, that means we even see humanity with its blemishes. We even see humanity with its parts that we would feel ashamed about. And we just get that's part of all of it too, that we really are all in it together. Blessed, broken, shared, which we talk about a lot. And from that place, folks, when we can see humanity that way, boy, can we live in a very deep and rich way. As I was thinking about this morning to close, I was thinking about being a little kid. When I was raised in a large family, there were five of us. We were all Irish twins. And an older sister was a bit older than that, but a bunch of us were Irish twins, 11 months apart. And I can remember as a kid being all excited. I don't know if you remember the Partridge Family. Probably most of you don't, but you can Google it sometime. There was a show called The Partridge Family. We decided to do a Partridge Family concert for my parents, and we set up these little stools that were our stage, and we were air guitaring it, and it was such an earnest endeavor. And I look back at it now, and I'd be so embarrassed today to do that, right? But thankfully I lived in a household that wasn't about shaming people, that was just about doing that kind of stuff. And I'm glad for having had that experience. And maybe that's something we can carry into the weekend. Have whatever that kind of experience looks like for you, have it. And if you feel shame starting to come up, just remember we're all one, and see it as one flesh, as one body in Christ, in whom we live, move, and have our being, as it says in the New Testament. You really try to see that unicity of all things, because that pulls us out of ourselves. Because it's not that we see that unicity, we see everyone else is perfect. I can't believe I have my shame, I got to get rid of it. It's more like, yeah, everybody has shame, and everybody has challenges, and everybody's beautiful, and everybody's this, that, and the other thing. And it creates this wonderful richness of the human experience. And that, my friends, I think is what will start to give us a life beyond shame. Not something we do overnight, progress, not perfection, but something maybe we can take a step towards this weekend. So that's my thought, folks. I hope that makes a lot of sense to you. What we're going to do now is we're going to do a little breath, a little prayer, a little blessing, and then we're going to close, hopping on social media and saying a little hello to anyone who's left a comment this morning. So with that, friends, let's get a little breath. Be still, you know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you bring you peace, bring you home. Amen. All right, friends, let's pull this on up here and say hello to folks who are able to join us this morning. And again, just a reminder, I get a lot of comments like throughout the week, and it's kind of funny. I get some even on Sunday morning. People are going back and using this as their normal church service. If that ever has any, like, don't ever hold back. I love hearing comments, and if I don't respond to them quickly enough, like, please let me know, and I will get right on it. Linda, good morning to you, Linda. And I can't wait to hear more about your travels. It looked like so much fun. Linda just had a trip out west, as did Sherry, who is checking in with good morning, all. Wishing you the best weekend. And same to you, folks, Sherry. Rita, my dear friend, good morning. And again, good morning, New Church Live. Totally agree. So big good morning to all of our congregation there. Sue, good morning to you, my friend. Happy Friday. Wishing you the very best of weekends. Linda, yay, Partridge Family. I mean, Linda, like, how embarrassing, right? Just Google it if you don't know what that is, and you will get a sense of what life was like in our household. I tell people in the Blair household, it was a fun place to grow up, a little crazy. My mom was we all have a crazy aunt who we just love, right? And that's who I was raised by. That was my mom. She was always a ton of fun and a bit zany at the same time. Marcus, good morning to you, buddy, and I hope you're doing well. I know I will not be doing anything with the band, so do not fear. Kim writes, good morning, everyone. And yes, that whole all flesh out there to everyone. It's beautiful. Melissa writes, good morning. Happy Friday. All are one, blessed, broken, and shared. Thank you for this daily thought. Yeah, the blessed, broken, and shared. Boy, you bust that out. There's a few lines, Melissa, out there as a pastor. There's a bunch of them, actually. A few Christian lines that you bust out, and everybody goes like, oh, yeah. And blessed, broken, and shared is one of them. Never said that to someone and have them go, no, that's not true. People get it. That's the way life really is. Marcus writes, it's a little known fact that heaven, when viewed from afar, appears as a single human being. That's very core to Swedenborgian thought. We consider that the divine man, very close to Paul's description of humanity as well. So it's a beautiful, beautiful idea. Gene writes, good morning. Enjoy your weekend. I sure will. Paige, no problem. And so glad to have you joining us this morning. Linda, yes, wishing everybody a great weekend. Shannon, happy Friday to all. Fabulous way to start the weekend. And same to you, Shannon. And Shannon, I need to tell you, I pulled in for coffee this morning and I pulled right beside someone with an Oklahoma license plate, which, if I remember right, is your home state. So it was kind of fun to see that. All right, friends, wishing you all the very best. God bless. May you have a life beyond shame this weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.